Daily Spell with your friend Ed Hubbard, also known as Ed the Pagan, and we're out across the internet today and around the world through our Roku, Twitch, and everywhere else that people have made us such a successful show. I am here tonight, and I want to basically talk to you about anything. This has been an amazing weekend. Last weekend, I was at the Kansas City Metaphysical Show in St. Louis, which was a lot of fun. And I got a chance to meet a lot of people. We did a lot of interviews, and we're developing a new show called the Psychic Road Show. We're not quite sure, but that's the working name. This week, I'm in the city of Chicago visiting friends, family, and also finding out more about the Chicago culture as we head towards the Parliament of World Religions, August 14th through the 18th, with a parade on August 13th this year. And so we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an amazing time. But I'm going to be here in Chicago. I'm going to try to meet out some of the individuals that are making history, making time, and everything else. So today I want to talk a little bit about that energy that's out there. And then next week, Daily Spell is going to be coming you from live from Vegas. We're going to work on that. I want to be able to do some really kind of nice pieces for that. So tell me what you guys want to talk about, anything you want to do, and we're going to be there. I know some of you have been talking about missing Don on these evening shows, but what can we do to make these evening shows more interesting? The Daily Spell. So I want to hear about that as well. But over the weekend, I had one great opportunity. You know, we talk about, hey Don, there you go, and there you go. They were just talking about you. So yeah, one of the things we talk about is that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And you wouldn't think that at my age I would need help with that. You just wouldn't. You know, you'd think, oh yeah, you learned all your lessons? And the answer was no. I actually got a time to spend with an individual that I've known for years, and was basically there it goes, and there we go. Let's see, there we go. And so yeah, I got a chance to spend some time with a gentleman by David, and he does done some coaching and things like that. We got to spend some intense time while we're doing covering the psychic show, and meeting so many people, Natasha and all that, and everything else. But because tonight's a special treat, we'll go ahead and he's actually awake, so we're good. Hi, Don.
Hello.
And so, well, you were just finishing up your chat room, right?
Yes, I just finished moments ago.
So people have mentioned how much they miss you in the evenings, but you're doing the midday show.
I am.
Uh-huh, and so
And today we had a bit of technical difficulty at 1, but we were on by 1:15.
yeah, it happens.
I
Even
was
to the
sharing some of my publication morgue with people.
Oh, really? So if you want to go look back at it, you look at the publication more. I'm hoping to be making an announcement about books here in the next couple of days. I mean,
Yes,
I know one we can tell you we even begin starting. You're really close to finishing and presenting the Five Mystic Secrets, which is
in 8 languages.
an eight. Oh no, that's not what I was going to mention. Okay,
Oh,
so he jumps in one of the other things. It's going to be in eight languages, but it's really one of the more interesting documents in that it is. If there's any document that is quintessentially at the core of the Corellian philosophy, isn't it the Five Mystic Secrets?
yes. Yes, it
Hmm.
was the first substantial writing about Corellianism, and it still is a major
Hmm.
statement on Corellian thought. It was written
And
by my late mother.
okay, and so that was a piece right there. So can you help me with some confusion on one thing? So last week we were talking about the Corellian script, which is kind of
Yes,
interesting. And I've seen it where it was written that you were the starter of it, and I've also read that Levita was the starter of it.
she commissioned it. I created it.
Oh, okay. So this has been, okay. So that was we're gonna have to probably tighten up our history a little bit there. Um, and so that was kind of an interesting fact. So what are you doing this?
Wha-
Oh yeah, what people say can't wait until the end. I'm recording for the present for like okay. Somebody was mentioning
Oh,
the
cool.
recording it. Of course, we record all of it. So and we record all of our shows and everything else. So we're finding ourselves in really kind of an interesting space these days with all the creation of our shows and things of that nature. And we're getting ready to start the second season. We're getting our swag bags together. What's this?
This is one of the 6 volumes of the old publication Morgue that I was talking about earlier today.
Can't see anything you're showing, Don. It's off. It's off. It's not even on the page.
There we go. You can kind of
Oh, the thickness of it.
see the thickness of it at least.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, this is what you got out of.
yeah,
We can't see a thing you're showing, Don.
well, that's because I'm trying to find a page.
Oh, okay. And this is different from the omnibus that you just put out, right? Or is
It
this?
is. Some of this artwork is actually in the omnibus, but a lot of this artwork has
Mhm.
never been seen since it was published. That's one of the things I was talking about. And a lot of this writing has never been read since it was published.
So we got a lot more material that we are going to be presenting here soon.
We do. And we have not only my old
Mm.
publications in this morgue, but a number of the ones that I worked with back in the day, like Stardust Salamander, Circle Network News, the Rowan Tree. Well, actually, the Unicorn, which was put out by the Rowan Tree, but Harvest. I haven't gone through all of them, but I've encountered issues of all of these different magazines. I saw a Seasonal Silver. So it's very nostalgic.
I bet it was.
In theory, there should be Grave Robber Gazettes in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Grave Robber Gazette was the magazine put out by the Lawrence Museum of Magic and Witchcraft.
Okay.
And it often featured articles about the museum. Although by the 1980s, many of the articles were older, and some of them were from as far back as the 1930s.
Oh wow. Okay. That's something there. So some of this will be of that. And I know we found some tapes recently
Yeah,
from earlier shows and everything else. So as you're digging through stuff, we're finding out more and more material that is going to make up a historical sort of record.
yes. That was the thing I was so happy about, that this
Mhm.
morgue has survived, because it really is a historical record. And the same with the tapes and many other things that we
Mhm.
possess. No one else has these things because,
Mhm.
well, the ones we produced, obviously, we're the ones who preserved them. But some of these magazines, you never know if this might be the only copy that exists.
Mhm.
Who knows if they got preserved or not? And if they did, there's maybe 1 or 2 other copies, because most of the Pagan Press, a lot of these magazines had readerships in the double digits. They rarely got into the triple digits.
Mhm.
Therefore, the chance of their having survived is low. I
And
mean, I know
so
that all the circles are preserved.
right.
Um, I'm sure the panegyrias are preserved.
Mhm.
But something like Seasonal Silver, I'm almost certain it's not. Although there might be a few exceptions to that. But the woman who published it, Donna Lionrose, passed away years ago, and I doubt that if she had kept copies of all of them, I doubt that anyone actually got them when she passed.
And that's going to be something we're going to have to deal with more in the future here.
Hmm.
I think one people don't realize when you move you're moving back to Danville, hopefully
Yeah.
this year. I think that at some point, I think we want to create. I'm hoping that at some point we can afford to create some sort of archive there,
Hmm.
a research center there for a lot of different things. I know there are people who are building those types of actions of it. But let me go ahead while I got you here,
Hmm.
and so what is the? So I found it very interesting because I ran into. So people don't know had a really blessing last week. I was going out to by myself out to St. Louis, and my friend David was just happened to pass through a day before. He said, "Oh, I'd really like to see you." Like, I'll be there tomorrow. He said, "Okay, I'll stay." And then he said, and we were talking a few minutes, and he decided he was going to stay the weekend because he didn't have. He's on a walkabout too, and he's taking some time to see friends, family, and everything else. And he decided to spend the weekend, and it's very interesting because he kept saying how he's learned from me and everything else, but we spent a lot of time. We were there filming the psychic fair, which is we have some really sensational pieces, some really gorgeous pieces. We've got some talking and everything else. Hi, Jasmine. Um, and then basically, As you know, I got from over the last 2 months. A lot of things have really changed in my life. In fact, 2 months ago was my birthday, and I had a really great time. Tomorrow would be the be the 2 month anniversary of the incident that would change my life, and it brought with me a lot of emotions. But I won't go into that. But I was not necessarily. I was still caught in my head about a lot of the events that had happened, and now, and then all of a sudden had this person there who was learning from me, but I was learning more from them. He was able to actually coach me through processes and got me more directed on it. But this idea of a teacher appears when a student is ready is very interesting because I didn't expect it to happen to me at 60 years old and to have somebody I've known for a while, but I got to know better to do that.
Hmm.
Can you talk about that? I mean, can it happen? Because.
I think it can always happen.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never too old to learn. And I think one of the things that is very good for people in life, I think that when people become, for example, grandparents, I think they learn a
Mm-hmm.
lot from their grandchildren. And sometimes the child is the teacher who will appear
Right.
to remind you that yes, you're still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not time to fossilize yet.
And I find that very interesting. I've heard certain psychologists say that people really don't grow up
Hmm.
until they actually have children. That children are a real maturing factor for a lot of people. That takes them out of their young teenager life or young adult life or that sort of thing, and and of course it grinds them with responsibility and it forces them into a different type of things
Hmm.
on there.
I believe that's true. I think the death of parents does that also. Um, I know that when my parents passed, it really changed the way I looked at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are people my age who have living parents, and that's wonderful for them. But I can't imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, life must be very different when that's the case.
Yeah, I guess it would be. Um, yeah, I don't know that I lost my grandparents and my parents
Mhm.
at a fairly young age.
I was the child of my parents' old age, and
Right.
so when I was born, there were lots of relatives, and
Hmm.
um, but they were all much much older.
So it's very so I thought it was very interesting. I was very blessed with this because it gave me
Hmm.
a lot more focus on what we're doing, and what I'm finding out what we're doing is pretty amazing. People have really found out. So let's talk about just for a minute about what we're really trying to do. So you're involved. We're involved with Pagan World.
Hmm.
We're not involved with the administration of the Crowley Nativist Church or Witch School, not at all. We've given that over to other people. People have,
Yeah.
handed that. People are like, what? People were shocked when they heard that about it, and so that's what I think. But we're now focusing on the idea of Pagan World Project and the idea of connecting pagans, and that seems to have really grown.
Hmm.
And so I find that very interesting. But the idea that we can change our projects even at this age, I mean, you're about to I've already turned 60, and you're 2 months away
Yeah.
from being 60.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I'm older than Don, believe it or not. So it's been one of the big jokes. Um, and that we're now moving into a place where we're actually going to try to bring a lot more value of connecting pagans and bringing more value to a larger audience than just simply the church,
Hmm.
simply the Corellians. And can you talk about it? I mean, that's kind of an unusual place for you to be in.
It is, although
Mhm.
much of my life um, has been spent reaching that wider audience. But for many years, I focused more on the church.
Mhm.
But my time in the pagan press, in the Chicago community, we were very much about outreach in all directions,
Mhm.
and so it's not something that's outside of my character, but it is something that I haven't focused on in a while, and I think we're at a time that is very important that we focus on that again.
Mhm.
So much is happening in the world that affects pagans, and so we definitely should be in contact with one another.
So really quick, I want you to go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and do one more last piece. Badger TV and Pagan Leader interviews. Jason's on there. So let me do this. I'm going to do something here. But it is interesting because all right, here we go. Paste. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. Is this idea of really one of the things is so this idea, one of the things I know that you kind of brought into the game for yourself was while you were working on your own tradition, which continue to expand and grow, you have a lot of relationships with other leaders.
Yes.
Now that we're moving towards the parliament, what is the value of leadership actually cooperating? Because we got into a debate over this weekend, and here's what it was:
Okay.
was it better for a tradition to be a strong tradition in and of themselves and take care of themselves, right?
hmm
Or is it better for them to be that and just stick with that and ignore the rest of the pagan community? Because that was the argument and just ignore everybody else. Is it better to be to be a little weaker but also more organized, but accept more of the community as a whole? Or is there a third choice of a strong pagan community and weak traditions within that? Or is it, where should a leadership, if you want to be effective, where should you spend your time? Should it be in your tradition? Should it be in the more public? Or I know that's an individual thing, but it's an interesting question.
Well, and I think the answer in part is that it is an individual thing. It depends where you are at that
Hmm.
moment. I do not think that you can, in some ways, effectively deal with the wider community if you are not strong in your own right.
Hmm.
Um, what that means is different to different people, different traditions, but you need to be in a place of confidence to be able to work with a wide range of other traditions. So I don't think it's either or. I think it's both. You must have strength beneath you to be able to work well with others, because one of the things we've seen over the years when we work with large numbers of other traditions, is that sometimes the people in positions of leadership were very insecure,
Hmm.
and that led to things like witch wars and the like, because they did not trust themselves in their interactions. They felt weak. They felt vulnerable. So I think that being in a position of strength and confidence is also kind of important. So you have to pay attention to your own base in order to be able to work with others, in my opinion. But as to which is better, I don't know that either is better, and I don't know that you can really do one without the other indefinitely. I think you have to have networking, but you also
Hmm.
have to have strength in your own.
And we're welcoming Reverend Jason. Hi,
Hello.
Jason. How you doing?
Fine. How are you guys tonight?
So you're a bit of the face tonight. Oh, we just lost him.
We did.
Well, that was interesting.
well,
Okay.
that was an interesting interview.
All
I
right.
assume he'll be back presently.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe.
We never know.
Depends what happened, of course.
So because I feel like you have a fairly strong tradition.
hmm Thank you.
I think the transition went fairly smoothly, at least as everybody sees it.
hmm
I think that we're heading now towards the parliament,
Yeah.
and then we're getting involved with more video, more making, and you're doing other work. So there we go, and we're out there. You're working on another book. Actually, we may have our first outside book, other than that we didn't self-produce, but we'll talk more about that soon.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
It's exciting.
And people are talking about citizenship. They want to know what more of that means. So I feel like we're in a very robust time.
hmm
So I feel very much that we're in a robust time for our community. All right, we'll try.
There he is.
All right, and we're back with the
I'm
face.
back. Oh,
Yeah. Um. And so, yeah. So, do you have any opinion here, Jason? There
There
you
we
go.
go.
Um, yeah. Well, I mentioned in the chat talking about pagan interviews, the ones that you've done, Lord Don, with
Mhm.
some of the more prominent leaders, or as you refer to as Bobblehead Don. Anyway,
Yes, I did have
but
that tendency of sitting through the interview doing this number. Yes.
but I mean, those are important archives. I mean, some of those
Mhm.
leaders have passed, and
That's
some
true.
those were some of the
Mm-hmm.
some of them is some of the last interviews they've done.
Yeah. Well, we have a
So I
number
mean,
of interviews with Olivia Robertson, who was the
Mm-hmm.
one of the founders of the Fellowship of Isis, with Raymond Buckland, with well, many interviews with Selena Fox, a number of interviews with Christopher Penczak, but also people like Donald Michael Craig, Ted
Abby Willowroot.
Andrews, Margot Adler,
Mm-hmm.
Abby Willowroot. We've done a lot of interesting interviews over the years, and you can see them at magictv.com.
And I think at some point we want to probably see us can. We do have enough of the sort to start to see that sort of energy to create some of these more special, so we could really take a look at some of these lives. Because that's one of the things I'm hearing over and over again. People are kind of wondering about that sort of energy. So where it is that we're going to try this one, and we'll move Jason over here. See how that looks. Oh, that looks
There we go.
good. Yeah. So Jason, so you've been working with the books and everything else. Do we have anything exciting that how's projects in the Corellian publishing world?
Well, coming along. You mentioned some of the new books coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh,
Well,
well, go ahead.
right, I was gonna say right now we have the omnibus, but now the paperback version.
Yes, and it seems to be doing well. A lot of the people that have gotten them have really enjoyed them. I mean,
And
and
right
there you go.
there you go. And if anyone wants one,
Go to
wants to start,
CurlianPublishing.com.
yeah,
Get yours
absolutely.
today.
There it is. So I'm pretty excited about things. Monday's been my rough day, so I'm glad you guys are here. Monday's been my roughest day. I don't know why. We've been having kind of a rough Monday.
Oh,
And,
we're happy to be here.
and then
Yes.
you saw the cat go by. Yes, Tootsie. Tootsie's decided she wants to know what we're watching.
Fast
Uh,
lives in every cat.
oh yeah, absolutely. I even did an interview with a cat communicator. I thought was fairly interesting. And I shared that online.
Very cool.
Did that, so we're going to do that sort of thing. Um, really, I don't have we don't have a lot to say. We're going to go in a lot of different directions and everything else. I think we're going to. This is a short show today, so any last thoughts from everybody? Unless there's anything else.
Lots of interesting
No,
things
just check
coming
out
down the pipe.
Curlian Publish. Yes, check out CurlianPublishing.com. We're adding stuff every time, every day. So
And there you go, folks. Today's, like I said, quick short show. Tomorrow we'll be back, and tomorrow we're going to talk about psychism. I want to talk about the psychic realm and where it crosses with paganism, because
Mhm.
people have been asking me. Because I mentioned that we're going to one of the next projects the project we're working on. We've seen a lot of tarot readings, we've seen a lot of things that, but where does it match? And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Very
Um,
cool.
any last thoughts, on anything for you?
Um, again, just lots of new things coming. So keep an eye open, and we have some exciting things in development.
Hmm. So last thing, talk about your Patreon.
So I have started a Patreon. I
Mhm.
have only just gotten it set up. 5 patrons so far. And
Mhm.
this week I'm hoping to add substantially to it. And you can find it if you're interested at revdonlewis.com.
Mhm.
And there I will be sharing. Um, photos of my various projects and my various adventures and videos. And in May, we'll be moving my chat room to that platform
Mm-hmm.
after 35 years
It was
that it's been running.
1997.
So many years, certainly.
Yep. And there you
I-
go, folks. We can say
It's 25 years, isn't it?
no.
No, it really is.
30,
Oh,
30,
wow.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
nearly 30 years. Yeah, 97, 07, 17. Oh, you're 20 something years. Yeah. It's up there. Who cares?
There comes a certain point where it was all just a long time ago.
Yeah. And so it's like
Long,
that.
long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
No.
You know, I'm often struck by
Mhm.
the difference in experience between people who are young today versus people who were young when I was young,
Mhm.
or people who are old today versus people who were old when I was young.
Mhm.
And it's a whole different set of experiences because they've lived through a different era. And when I stop to think how much time has gone by and then remember how that same time felt to me when I was young, then I realize I'm really old.
All righty then, folks. Well, with that, we're going to bid you all good evening and be well. Be back tomorrow.
Good night,
With the
everyone.
Daily Spell, where we're going to talk about psychics and pagans, where those worlds interlock. If you have any suggestions for us, go there. Send it to us. PaganWorldTV@gmail.com. And we're always looking for hosts to talk and bring more information to the world. Blessed be.
Blessed be.